Sam Pittman has been fired at Arkansas. What was eventual became inevitable after a 56-13 loss to Notre Dame yesterday. A splattering, the likes of which were so ugly and so emphatic that I'm not even going to make it the Sarah McLachlan special out of respect because I love Sam Pittman and he just lost his job. So he went 32-34 over 5 years and change. He took that job when no one wanted it, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. He went 3-7 in the COVID year, and then they went 9-4, and I hoped he was off to the races. And then it was 7-6, 4-8, 7-6. He started 2-3. It sucks for him because they had 2 fourth-quarter fumbles that cost him what would otherwise have been 2 wins, and then yesterday happened, and I have no clue. I have no clue if yesterday still would have happened if you changed the other results. But anyway, Sam Pittman's out. Coaching search begins. Bobby Petrino, interim head coach. I'll get to it in a second. I know if you were around, or maybe you were at church potluck today and you didn't really have time to see the news, that even though you knew Petrino was the offensive coordinator there, it is a reality slap to the face to just hear those words. Bobby Petrino's the head coach at Arkansas again. But I'll get to that in a second. I wanted this to work so bad. All Arkansas fans did. I wanted it to work so bad for the same reason I love what Clark's doing down the road here at Vanderbilt. I love what Kenny's doing out at Arizona State. I love seeing guys who are a perfect match for their program. Shane Beamer at South Carolina feels like this to me. I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes it's because a guy went there or played there. Other times it's just because the personality and the program blend so perfectly that is very unique to college football. That doesn't happen in the pros, really. In the pros, it's more you're hired to do a job and it's a bottom line business. And there's a lot of that in college football too. It's just culture matters. NFL franchises, it's kind of you seen one, seen them all. There's a bubble and there are 32 of them. And some of them may be in California, some of them may be in Florida. And some of them are more prestigious than the others. I'd take the Packers job over the Jaguars job. But the point is, it's pretty transferable. If something worked in Seattle, it'll work in Washington. Well, that's not always the case in college football. I would love to see Greg Schiano go coach at UCLA, just for fun, just to watch what happens. So Sam Pittman's profile probably would not have worked at many other places. But it felt like it could work at Arkansas, and I hoped it would work at Arkansas. And it looked like it was going to work at Arkansas. And the reason I loved that is because he is a great dude to be around. But also, I hoped that it would work so that more programs would chase that. Because I love the unique spirit of college football, and it's really amplified when you do what Arizona State's done with Dillingham, when you do what Vanderbilt's done with Clark Lee. Difference is, those are success stories. This one ended up not being one. So, the next question becomes, well, who's going to take the job? The interim is Bobby Petrino. And I believe they put out a statement today, and they said Bobby Petrino's name will be in the running for this job, which just, again, mind-boggling. I'll finish with that. I was talking to a couple of pretty well-placed people in the coaching industry yesterday about this, because they all go to the big games. And I found myself disagreeing a little bit with some people about the stature of the Arkansas job. Like, some people look at the Arkansas job as an afterthought amongst SEC head coaching jobs. And if that's the case, don't take it, because you don't want to be the 7th or 8th or 9th best job in the most competitive and cutthroat league in America. And yeah, they'll pay enough money, but they're going to pay you so much money that they think it warrants being able to have unreasonable expectations. Okay, I counter with this. How familiar are you with Northwest Arkansas? Most of you have never been there. That's okay. I'm blessed to get to travel to all these places. So yeah, I've experienced it up there. I go to football games up there. I go storm chasing up there. I know Northwest Arkansas. I question whether people who denigrate the potential value of this job, I question how much they know it. Now, what I'm thinking is, if you don't get the proper infusion of major industry in Northwest Arkansas, no, the Arkansas job is not one worth taking. Great people, check. Great facilities, yeah, check. But that's not going to win you football games if you can't go dollar for dollar with the big boys. Because ultimately it's about getting the players. And if you can't get the players up there, you're not going to get the wins. You're not going to out-scheme folks in this league 8 or 9 times out of the year. We'll get back to the video 1 second. Do me one quick favor. Look down. Make sure you're subscribed. Most of you are. If you're not, please do so. It's the way we keep the channel free, we keep the videos coming, and we get to do college football year-round as God intended. All right, as promised, back to the video. The next question becomes, for anybody who gets hired there, and if you're coming after me, if I'm an in-demand head coach, the first thing I'm asking is, what guarantees is Walmart giving me? What is Tyson Chicken doing? What is J.B. Hunt doing? What is Wright's Barbecue doing? The four big industry pillars of Northwest Arkansas. But for real, I need to know what guarantees I have. Because I'm telling you, there's some coaching searches that are just now underway. Virginia Tech and UCLA. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. I think there are total and complete blinders on at a couple of places like that when it comes to what it takes to win. Okay, you've got this bygone era mentality that what it takes is, okay, we got enough money to pay the buyout so we can fire the current staff. And then we've raised enough money to pay a new staff. Problem solved. No, you just created new problems. If you can't tell me what your plan for rev share is, and then what your above and beyond plan is to fill your NIL coffers, you're dead on arrival. And I'm telling you, man, like you immerse yourself in college football fandom so you think everyone at the administrative level gets this. They don't. There's some morons who work in this profession who are making decisions who would look at you and say, what do you mean, how are we going to pay our players? We participate in rev share. Well, yeah, it's like a human saying, I breathe oxygen. What else do you want me to do? Probably a little bit more than every other human to ever exist does. Everybody breathes oxygen. Everyone participates in rev share. What kind of edge is that going to give you? You're thinking about today's university versus the university of 10 years ago. Well, today's players get rev share. 10 years ago, they didn't get it. Yeah, but we're not living in 2015. So you're competing against players on other teams that all get rev share. How are you going to give yourself an edge? And that's what I'd ask before taking the Arkansas job. How am I going to be given an edge here? Because otherwise my best is not going to be good enough. And there's a lot of ego and there's a lot of arrogance sometimes in this profession. But when it comes time to make a business decision, guys know I better be put in a position where I can get good players. And I just happen to think you can get good players at Arkansas. And I don't have a long case study for it. Because what I'm saying is I think things can be done there that haven't been done before. I actually think the landscape is pretty uniquely fashioned right now for it to be done. Just like I think Texas Tech never could have done what they did last year, a generation ago. I think Oklahoma State, and I'm still waiting to see on this, I think Oklahoma State may be on the precipice of deciding, screw it, we'll do it. Is Arkansas going to do that? Now, as for now, it's Bobby Petrino's team. I can't believe that this is the world we are living in. Bobby Petrino is once again, at least on an interim basis, the head coach of Arkansas. Now, when you are the age I am, when you're in your 30s, right, Bradley? I'm in my 30s, yeah. When you're in your 30s, or if you're in your 40s, but I'm talking like mid-30s to mid-40s, you still think that 15 years ago was yesterday. So I still vividly remember 2010, 11, 12. I always remember years in terms of what happened in football that year. But those years don't feel long ago to me at all. But to someone who's 18 years old, if I tell you, boy, remember Petrino in 2012? Remember what happened? They're like, no. Okay, so an 18-year-old is a legal adult today. So I've got a huge high school and college-aged audience that wasn't even coherent when Petrino made a ride that I would argue in SEC circles was more famous than Paul Revere's. Certainly in Arkansas circles it was. Man, I'm telling you, you need to respect the filter I have on myself because I had about 3 more lined up in my head. Jesse, remind me to tell you the jokes I had off air. But I know kids listen to this show. I respect a lot of dads driving to work tomorrow morning want a kid-friendly environment in the truck. And so I abstained, which is more than I can say for him 15 years ago. I abstained, and I'm proud of myself for it. That's what I want to tell you. But I want to remind you or teach you for the first time, if you're not aware, just Wikipedia, just go read news articles, go watch a special or two on it. You could not write a Netflix special about college football in Arkansas that included the storylines that actually happened in real life with Petrino there. And then he's gone. And you think he'll never set foot in this state again. And not only does he land back at Arkansas as the coordinator, he's the head coach there again. And his name's in the running for the permanent job. And you know what? I couldn't care less about his past. Someone came at me today, by the way, and said, if it was your sister, or if it was your daughter, if it was your wife, you would. What? What does that have to do with Arkansas football? What does that have to... Anyway, yeah, Bobby Petrino. I don't know what else to say. I'm paid to speak words, and I'm at a loss for words.